The presence of God is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and grace. I can feel the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
Together, let's state our mission statement. We welcome all as we create a loving community, teach universal truth, practice spiritual principles, and live life abundantly. Thank you. Please be seated. Well, welcome to Unity of Dayton this morning. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Reverend Cindy White. I welcome you this morning. It's a glorious autumn day here in Ohio. And I want to welcome the people that are watching via live stream on YouTube and Facebook. Welcome to the service this morning. Wow, it's a wonderful day. And we are going to begin this service with prayer, as we do everything here at Unity. So let's get into that space. Living and loving God. This morning we come together with open hearts and open minds. We're ready to listen, to be still and to know, and to feel God's presence in this place wherever we are and whenever it is that we're watching or that we're here. It is now. And right now, God is. God is within you. God is all around you. That presence and power enlivens you and blesses you and brings you to a greater awareness of who you are, of what you are, and what your purpose is here in this life. So we do give thanks this morning for this awareness, for being in this space, not just a physical space, the heart space, the space of peace, the space of joy, the space of love. Thank you, Infinite Spirit. Amen. And we have an affirmation this morning. And the affirmation is, I am free, unlimited spirit. Now that's a nice short one. We should be able to remember that all week long. I am free, unlimited spirit. Let's say that together.
I am free, unlimited spirit.
And so it is. And now I want to take the opportunity to welcome any visitors that are here for the first time today, or if it's been a long time since you've been here. We invite you to raise your hand so that our ushers can find you with an usher packet. Has anybody not been here before? I think I recognize all of you, so well, welcome home, welcome back. Those of you who are out there in the streaming world, come on in if you can in person, and we'll give you a visitor's packet when you get here. All right. Oh, you know what today is? It's the fourth Sunday of the month. And the fourth Sunday of the month is when we wish happy birthday to everybody that was born in October. Anybody here born in October? Nobody's going to admit to it? Okay, all right. My daughter was born in October on the 16th. Today, this is the day that Unity of Dayton is 94 years old. So happy birthday to 97. Yes. Thank you. I guess I'm about 3 years late. 97 years old. That's why I put that there, so we know. So, okay, so we don't really have to sing happy birthday to anybody. All right, let's move right on. All right. Oh, so now we have a very special time in our service. We do this twice a year. Colleen, if you would join me up here. Colleen is our president of the board, and I've asked her to help me this morning. We have 2 times a year we have this opportunity. I better stand over here so people can see me. We have this opportunity to welcome new members to Unity of Dayton. Now, some of these folks became members actually in 2019, but it was after the 2019 member ceremony, so they didn't get one in 2020 or 2020, the fall, and so this is the first opportunity. So we've got people here today that are becoming members that actually became members a year and a half ago. So at Unity of Dayton, membership is not a requirement. It's a sacred commitment to your own personal spiritual journey. And we don't claim that ours is the only path to follow, the only spiritual path to follow, but it is a path that the Spirit of living truth within us leads us down and guides us to. And so when people recognize that you've come in here and you've heard a few things and it absolutely feels like home, that this is your place. And so you join the church and it's just the next step on your spiritual journey. A lot of people that walk through the doors of a Unity church or a spiritual center find something that they feel like was missing in their lives. It's like, wow, I didn't know that, had no idea. And it just, something clicks into place. And when that happens, you know that you're in the right place. This is where you want to be. There are only 3 requirements for membership in Unity. One is a desire to know God, and I think everyone here has that on some level. There's a commitment to your own spiritual path, to your own unfolding, and then there's the commitment to support the members of Unity of Dayton. We support and love each other and lift each other up by attending services and all the other things that we do in Unity. It's been said that unity is a way of life, and I believe it truly is. We're asked to live the truth principles to the best of our ability on a daily basis. The 5 basic unity principles are, we've got them up here on the wall, but they are: there is only one presence and one power active in my life, and that's God the good. Our essence is of God, therefore we are inherently good. That's a tough one for some folks. We are inherently good. The God essence was fully expressed as Jesus the Christ. We're co-creators with God. We create reality through thoughts that we hold in mind. And through prayer and meditation, we align our heart and minds with God, and denials and affirmations are the tools that we use to do that. Through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we know. And that's the part that we get to continually practice, even when we've got the intellectual part of it. The practicing part of it is something that we can all continue on. Membership at Unity of Dayton also confers the right to vote at all matters that are brought forth in membership meetings. You become a part owner, so to speak, of the church. Everything that happens that's important to you that is brought to a membership meeting, members get to vote upon. Members of Unity join together in prayer for the enrichment of our own lives and to bless all humankind. And that's the way that we become a powerful good in the world. So as Unity truth students, as we're called, truth with a capital T, we believe that truth is direct from Spirit. You don't have to go to an intermediary. You can listen to that still small voice and know that Spirit is talking to you. Spirit is the rock upon which this spiritual center is built. And because it's not really the place that's the church, but it's the spiritual community. It's the people in it. So even if we moved to somewhere else, the church goes with us because we are the church. So this time I'll call your names and I'll invite you to come forward. If you're here, not everybody may be here because some folks didn't want to be a part of the community until after COVID. But Jerry Blumgold, and Jerry is also our treasurer of the board. Randy Duncan. And Greg Foster. And you're going to come right on up here. Oh, leaves everywhere. And Linda Healy, Carl McClure, and Nancy McClure. And then we have Amy Meoni, and I don't see her here, but Judith Nossmacher, and Gary Victor. Take one of these. Christine Wilson, not seeing Christine here today, and Stephanie Wood. Stephanie's probably been waiting the longest. Are you guys trading packets around? That's nice. They have your names on them, so just trade them around.
I didn't even notice that. Gary?
For the exam.
Oh, for nothing. Stephanie, this is yours. Nancy, tomorrow, this is yours. Lord have mercy. Oh, yes. Lord have mercy. That's what I get for not paying attention. Recover well.
No, we know.
Just devoted.
Can you guys? Jerry's here. Jerry, come on up. Come on. You got a package for Jerry? Oh, here's one for Jerry.
Yeah.
Oh, we worked so hard to put people's names on the envelopes. And the reason the names are on the envelope is because there's a certificate of membership inside that has your name on it as well. Bless you. Oh, wow, we haven't had this many people on the stage in quite some time. Okay. We know that you have not made this commitment lightly. We celebrate that you've chosen to join our community. In unity, we love, support, and strengthen one another, and we know that you being a part of us supports and strengthens us and adds love to this space and to all of us. Dear ones, we are all ministers here, and as senior minister of Unity of David, it is my honor and my privilege and my blessing to welcome you into membership. The blessing we often share is we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ as you. So if those of you here could stand and say that, we'll say it together. We love
you, we bless you,
we appreciate you,
and we behold Christ as you.
Okay. It's our tradition for the congregation to join in singing, I Behold the Christ in You. In the seat pockets, there's a card, and the words to that are on the bottom, in the back, on the back page, on the bottom. So let us sing.
I behold the Christ in you. Here the life of God I see. I can see how great He's too. I can see you whole and free. I behold the Christ in you. I can see this as you walk. I see this in all you do. I can see this as you talk. I behold God's love expressed. I can see you filled with power.
I can see you at last. See Christ in you, hour by hour. I behold the Christ in you. I can see that perfect one. And by God in all you do, I can see God's work is done.
Welcome, new members. Thank you. Congratulations. All right. And now we are going to stand all together and sing "The Father and I Are One." You have the words on your song sheets.
The Father and I are one. The Father and I are one. Are one, are one, are one, are one. The Father and I are one. You and I are one. You and I are one. Are one, are one, are one, are one. You and I are one. All God's children are one. All God's children are one. Are one, are one, are one, are one. All God's children are one.
Thank you. Please be seated. Reverend Sue is going to share with us the daily word.
Morning. The daily word is passion. And the affirmation is, my purpose fuels my passion. Purpose sets my heart aflame with passion. Each day I awaken ready to answer the call of my heart, to give my best efforts and fullest attention to purposeful activity. Passion is the energy I bring to everything I do. I discover the glory of God through passion. As I do the things that make me feel the most alive, that fill me with energy and zeal and color the world with hope and promise, I recognize the divine presence behind it all. God is the source of all the passion I feel and that drives me. My passion is not for me alone. The life energy that radiates from me inspires those around me to live a life of purpose and passion, to boldly express their divinity as only they can. And from 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 11, whoever speaks must do so as one speaking the very words of God. Whoever serves must do so with the strength that God supplies. Today's word is passion. And now, once again, we get to join in song. So I invite you to stand and join in singing One in the Spirit.
We are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord. We are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord. And we know that our unity has this day been restored. And we know we're one family by our love, by our love. Yes, we know we're one family by our love. We will walk with each other, we will share all the plans. We will walk with each other, we will share all the lands. And together we'll know that God is in our hearts and hands. And we know we're one family by our love, by our love. Yes, we know we're one family by our love. We will work with each other, we will work side by side. We will work with each other, we will work side by side. And we'll honor our divinity and cherish every life. And we know we're one family by our love, by our love. Yes, we know we're one family by our love. All praise the Creator from whom all things come, and all praise to the Christ who did each daughter and son, and all praise to the Spirit that remembers we are one. For we know we're one family by our love, by our love. Yes, we know we're one family by our love.
All right, thank you. Please be seated. And so this is a time when we prepare for a few moments of meditation.
In the stillness of this moment, there is peace, there is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace, there is peace, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is peace. In the stillness of this moment there is love. There is love in the stillness of this moment. There is love, there is love, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is love. I am peace. I am love. I am peace. I am.
In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. So I invite you to take a deep breath. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Allow the chair to support you. And just know in deeply into your being that right where you are, God is. For God is transcendent, yes. God is everything and all that is. There is a part of God, the energy of God, that enlivens everything. But God is also immanent. God is within you. God is personal to you. The intelligence of God, the wisdom of God, the love of God, the joy, the peace, the power of God. They're all within you. They're a part of who you are. Sometimes we cover those things up pretty well. Sometimes we get surprised by life or disappointed by life, frightened by life. And we forget that we have those qualities of God within us. And so we forget to express them. And we kind of cut ourselves off, but not really cut ourselves off. We pinch ourselves off from the awareness of God's presence in our hearts and in our minds and in everyone else. But we can always remember. We can always choose again. We can always wake ourselves up to that awareness of the living truth, to the spirit of the living truth within us and all around us. Anytime you need to remember that truth, I invite you to use these words. Here I am. Spirit, here I am. I am open and receptive. I'm willing to know. I'm willing to remember, to become a part of that spirit of truth, that spirit of God that's within me. I'm willing to reopen that channel and to allow that energy to be my energy, to allow that to flow through me. I leave behind the energy of fear or of doubt or of anger. I set that aside as I call upon the love of God to fill my heart. And in moments of silence, in moments of quiet, we can feel that love of God. We can open to it no matter what's going on in the world around us. If we wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with our hearts full of fear, we can simply say, here I am. Here I am. Move through me now, Spirit. Move through my heart, move through my mind. Allow me to recognize, to recognize, to rethink what I'm thinking that's brought me to this fearful place. Allow me to awaken to the joy of God. Or at least, if I can't find the joy of God in this moment, the peace of God. And that presence within you will always be there. Will always be there, knocking upon the door of your heart, saying to you, here I am. I am the living spirit of truth within you. I am the Father. I am the Son. I am the Spirit. I am the Mother. I am the energy of all of the love in the universe, and I'm here for you now. And so right now, let's listen for that. Let's open to that energy for these next few moments that we spend in the silence. In the silence. And so I invite you now to take a deep breath. Here I am. Here I am, ready, willing, and able. And I begin right now to allow the love of God to flow through me. There's someone to the right of you, to the left of you, before you, behind you. Everyone in this room, everyone that's watching this broadcast. Begin sending love. Begin sharing your love with the people all around you, with the people in your life that need love the most. But the true measure of our love is not how much we love our friends and our family, but whether we love those that we would not consider friends or family. Allow the love of God to expand in your heart now. Send it out. Send it to this world. Bathe this world in the infinite, unconditional love of God. And as you bless the world, so you are blessed. Thank you, Infinite Spirit, for this time of remembering who we are, and what we have to give. We are so grateful. Thank you, God. Amen and amen.
In the stillness of this moment, there is love. There is love. In the stillness of this moment, there is love. There is love, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is love. I am peace. I am love. I am peace. I am.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. When the doctor said I need to have it out, he said that it was common, not to worry. But that's easier said than done, without a doubt. So I nodded while I sat there in denial, and I pondered all the outcomes as he spoke. I could batten down my hatches of resistance, or I could use this opportunity to grow from things that do not serve me, things that I don't need, things that I am done with and no longer choose to feed. When I'm on the other side, I'll know that letting go of all the things I didn't need will help me getting whole. There were failures and frustrations that I swallowed, disappointments and distresses that I held. But the thought of letting all that anger surface didn't seem like it was worth the way it felt. Now it feels like something deep inside my psyche has erupted and imploded in my throat. The construction crew is setting up the pylons, where the pavement's finally cracking from the load. Things that do not serve me, things that I don't need, things that I am done with and no longer choose to be. When I'm on the other side, I'll know that letting go of all the things I didn't need will help me getting whole. Did I make the perfect choices? Did I do the best I could? Does holding on contribute to my very highest good? I release the mighty octopus that smothers and defends, and embrace the golden foamy sea that purifies and cleanses. So they took that little object from my body. They removed the thing that raised up all the flags. And I also got a whole lot more than tissue, 'cause I packed it full of other things I had. Things that do not serve me, things that I don't need, things that I am done with and no longer choose to feed. And when I'm on the other side, I'll know that letting go of all the things that didn't need will help me getting whole.
Thank you, Doug. Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. There's another song. I don't know if you guys know it. Just chime in if you do. Any of you know The Cat's in the Cradle by Harry Chapin? So we remember that song. My child arrived just the other day. I'm not going to sing. Okay, let's say that. My child arrived just the other day. He came to the world in the usual way, but there were planes to catch and bills to pay. He learned to walk while I was away. And he was talking before I knew it, and as he grew, he said, I'm going to be like you, Dad. You know, I'm going to be like you. And as he got a little older, he said, when you coming home, Dad? And Dad said, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, son. You know, we'll have a good time then. Sure enough, that little boy grew up. He came home from college. Dad wanted a few minutes with him. He was so proud of him. And the kid said, no, Dad, I don't have time, but could I borrow the car keys? And then the little young man grew up and he got married and got kids. And the old man now, he's an old man. He says, can I have a few moments with you, son? And the son says, no, the new job's a hassle and the kids have the flu. But it's been sure nice talking to you, Dad. Don't have time. He grew up, just like his dad. And the good time never came for the two of them. The story of the song is really so powerful because it teaches us the value of our relationships. It teaches us the value of the time that we have together. There are so many good stories told in song, so many good lessons. Children learn what they live and they become it. They become it. Our relationships with others, I think, look a lot like the relationships that we had with the people that raised us. You know? If we have dysfunctional relationships with our parents, chances are, until we learn differently, we have dysfunctional relationships with our spouses and our children. We pass this on from generation to generation. It reminded me of the old story that you hear about in Scripture that was the sins of the father being passed on to the son. Well, last week we looked at sin. What does sin mean? I came to the conclusion that sin is a self-imposed nonsense. Sin is just that. We make mistakes, but mistakes can be corrected. Or if you move to a higher spiritual level, you could say, well, we don't even really make mistakes. We just go from experience to experience, ever learning and ever expanding and ever growing. But the old story is the sins of the father are passed on to the son. And that comes from Exodus, the 20th chapter, the 5th verse. And we read, I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of their parents to the third and the fourth generation of those who reject me. So that's the story of a really old, angry, father-like God that I have a difficult time believing in. But there may be a little bit of a grain of truth in that. We're gonna go mining. We're gonna see if we can find the truth that's in that scripture. In the psalm, the sin of the father, I believe, was failing to be a nurturing parent, the failure of not being there for his son. And the son inherited the sin of not becoming the loving son that he could have been, or a loving father to his own children. And so in that way, it's passed on. Dysfunction in families often passed on generation after generation. But there are other things that we inherit, aren't there? For example, the body that you're currently inhabiting is something that you inherited from your parents. Genetics says you got some of their stuff, and you got some, and mix it together, and you come out with you. Our inherited DNA gives us our physical characteristics. It also gives us our physical vulnerabilities. At least that's what geneticists say. Everything about us is determined by our genes, our height, our eye color. And if it doesn't work out, then they came up with recessive genes. I've got hazel eyes. My husband had brown eyes. My daughter has blue eyes. How did that happen? His dad and my mom had blue eyes. So they make up it can happen somehow. They've got a way to explain everything that you are is because of the genetics that you inherited from your parents. Genes are the brain of the cell. They're within the cell and they determine everything. That's what they say. So if your parents had it, you either got it or you're going to get it. One of the two. We are all the beneficiaries or the victims of our heredity. Now, Myrtle Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, was a sickly person all of her life. They said she inherited the genes of the family. The whole family was sickly. They all had problems with their lungs, and she was no exception. And so her whole life, she expected to die early because that's what people in her family did. They had this hereditary thing. That was the family story that they told. The doctors expected her to die within 6 months, and she would have, except that she got a hold of a different story. This new story is one in which God was a loving, giving source of all good. Those are the genes that she inherited. She had an epiphany. She said, I'm a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. And she told that new story until her body was healed, totally healed. Now, is there a scientific way to explain that? Because genetics said that she was going down the tubes, right? It was a one-way trip. If she wasn't coming back, everybody in her family died young because of whatever. How many of you have heard of epigenetics? Show of hands, anybody's heard of epigenetics? A couple people have. So if I get any of this wrong, you can tell me later, but this is to my understanding of the research that I've done, the brief research that I've done about epigenetics. You may have heard of Bruce Lipton. He was the author of The Biology of Belief. Lipton and other scientists are telling a new story about genetics. Sure, our genes play a major role in our physical makeup. But epigenetics, epi meaning literally outside of genetics, says that our genes can actually be changed. Instead of the DNA is set inside the cell, nothing can change it, it just keeps producing out and giving out instructions on how your body keeps all the physical characteristics and all the things about you. Instead of that, there's this new idea that the cell membrane, the membrane that encloses the cell, receives information chemically through the bloodstream, receives information that passes through the cell membrane, goes to that nucleus of the cell, and reprograms the DNA so that you don't have to keep being the way you were. That's a radical idea, and typical genetic scientists say that's quackery. How could that, they literally say that's quackery. How could that be? But you remember the Christopher Columbus guy who set out across the ocean, and they were so worried he was going to fall off the face of the earth because it was flat? Well, that didn't happen because Christopher knew something that the rest of them didn't know, and maybe the epigeneticists know something that the geneticists don't know. Is that even a word? Don't know. I'm making it up as I go. So it works from the outside in, not just from the inside out. And so things can change this. Dr. Moshe Ziff, he's a PhD geneticist, explained this brilliantly in a TED Talk that I watched. He did a study of rat moms licking their pups. When the little rat pups are born, I guess that's what they call them, pups. They're not kittens, they're rats. But they lick and they groom the babies. They lick and they groom them, and some mothers they saw doing this a lot, and some didn't, not very much at all. And what they noticed in the study that they did, the way they set it up was the rat moms who took the best care of, who licked and groomed the little rat pups the best, those pups were the strongest, they were the most resilient. If they put them under stressful situations, they survived. They knew how to find food when food was scarce. They were just better equipped for life. So they thought, well, let's just change this up. We know genetically that these rat moms are the best rat moms, and these make the best rat pups. Well, let's switch them. So they took away the rat pups from the mom, switched them with the other rat moms. This is a ratty story. And lo and behold, they found that it wasn't genetics, it was the behavior that made the difference. And it carried through generations. The rats that got the most licking, even if they came from poor rat moms, their rat pups also had better behaviors. Better, they switched them around. They found out the rats can be changed from the outside in and not just from the inside out. I'm not going to explain the story because I couldn't even try to begin to explain that study. But what about people, they said? Let's expand this to people. Well, you can't take kids away from moms. Unethical. You can't switch people at birth on purpose, right? You can't do that. But what they did was, in 1998, there was a terrible ice storm in Canada. And it shut things down and people got hungry. It was not pretty. And there were a number of pregnant moms during that ice storm. And so they followed them. They studied their stress levels. They studied what their genetics were, what family history of disease was. They studied all of that stuff. And what they found when they studied the children was the moms that had increased stress, even if they didn't have a family history of disease, their children developed autoimmune disorders. They developed autism. They developed metabolic diseases. These were inherited diseases that they got from people who didn't have them. And the conclusion they came to was that the stress on the moms during those times altered the genes in the people. Well, that doesn't sound very cheerful, but if genes can be altered in a negative way, they can be altered in a positive way, right? So epigenetics is The study of the body's cellular response, not only to environmental influences like that, but also to our beliefs and our relationships. What's the effect of our beliefs and our relationships with ourselves? What's your relationship with yourself? How does that affect your health? What about your relationship with other people, especially the parents and the caregivers, the people that are so important in your life? And what about your relationship with that which we call God? The sins of the fathers, the stress of the mothers, all of it has an impact as it's carried into our genes and affects them so that they produce outward differently. Now, Myrtle Fillmore changed her relationship with her body. That's how it healed. It wasn't because somebody struck her with, zaps. No, she spent about 3 years talking to her body. She stopped calling it weak and inefficient, and she stopped saying that she was a victim to disease or a victim to her body, and that her body was failing her. Myrtle said, there is no such thing as a disease or incurable condition. Anything that does not measure up to the Christ standard of perfection can be changed. Anything in your life that does not measure up to the Christ standard of perfection can be changed. In other words, by changing our thoughts, our beliefs, our behaviors, epigenetics can reprogram our DNA in positive ways. You're more than a body. You are much more than a body. You're free, unlimited spirit. You have creative power with your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions. And so from generation to generation, we pass down our DNA. And we're also passing down that old story that we're victims of our DNA. It is what it is. If my dad had this, I'll probably get it. But what about those people who have the heredity in the family of something, but they don't get it? How can that be? If you've got all those genetics saying that you're going to have something and you don't get it. Well, it could have more to do with epigenetics than it does with genetics. It could be that you said, I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. Or how about this one? Everybody gets old and gets sick and dies, and you're miserable on the way. That's the story we tell. I'm going to do a whole talk about aging, so I won't give away all my secrets. But that's the story we tell. And we can change a different story. We can change the story entirely. We can say that we're happy and well. Myrtle Fillmore worked up until, 3 days before she passed away, made her transition. She worked. She was happy and she was healthy. And then she said, I think I can do more from the other side. And she died peacefully. She made that transition from physical to non-physical. Wow. We're passing on, generation after generation, an old story that's all based on error thinking. It's all based on error thinking. Charles Fillmore called error thoughts beliefs not of God. Beliefs not of God. And he said they are eliminated by denying the reality and power and by affirming the truth of being. And that's capital T, capital B, truth of being. What's been passed from generation to generation isn't the disease. It's the error thought. It's what we believe about disease. We can change the belief. We can change our thinking. We can deny the power of genetics and inheritance to diseases. We can affirm the truth of our being. Our DNA responds to our thoughts and beliefs. So, do you know every cell in your body has divine intelligence? Every cell. And how many cells are there in the body? I think 3 trillion or something like that. You got 3 trillion smart cells inside of you that know how to heal. They've been doing it their whole lives. And what happens is we call them sick and we say things are bad about them and then they believe it. Well, they don't believe it, but it shuts down the flow of energy to them. And then they start to manifest differently. Well, we can open that flow back up like Myrtle did. Every cell in my body has a divine intelligence. It knows how to heal. My body is the whole and perfect, constantly renewing substance of God. It is. You are. That's what we can do. Epigenetics gives us that power. We're only limited by what we tell ourselves. And everything changes when we decide to tell a different story. And not just tell the story, but to live the story. To live the story. It takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of attention. But we all have that power of focused attention. Or you can develop it as you go. So the question I have for you is, well, there's several actually. What is your relationship with you? So that's the overall question. What is your relationship with you? What do you tell your body? What do you say about it? When you see yourself in the mirror, do you say, I love you so much? Because you could. Do you say that? Or do you say, oh, there's another wrinkle? Whatever. Ah, there's that. Tell yourself another story. What do you tell yourself? What's your relationship with your personality? Are you constantly are you criticizing yourself and telling yourself you should be better, you should be different, you're not good enough? Because I invite you to tell yourself a different story. You are, somebody said, oh God, yes. Tell yourself a different story. Develop a different relationship with you. Be loving and supportive to yourself, because that will change your DNA. And who do you believe you are? What's your relationship with your inner being, with your sacred self, with that part of you that is God? Do you ignore it completely and say, I'm not, that's not part of who I am? Or do you say, you know what? My inner being, that part of me that's God, I want to converse. I want that to be my best friend. I want that to be who I am, ultimately. Because the personality and the body will pass away. But that spirit within me is eternal. And I want to get to know that better than I know it right now. What's the story you're telling yourself about you? So this week I invite you to love your body, to love your personality, to love God within you and all about you and all about those other people too. You know, if we realized and remembered that we are all just spirit expressing, even the ones that get on our nerves the most are only just showing us where we've still got nerves. They're just showing us where we still got buttons that can be pushed. You know? So bless them. We're all truly here for each other. Cultivate relationships with yourself that are healthy, that are whole. Your free unlimited spirit, when you let that in, when you let that into your cell membrane, I am free unlimited spirit, it will begin to change the way you see things. It will begin to change you from the inside out. So, the cat's in the cradle with a silver spoon. The little boy blue ran away with the moon. We're going to have a good time then, son. We're all going to have a good time then. Well, we know now that there's no reason to put that off. Having a good time, we can start it now. A lot of it has to do with relationships. Our relationships with ourself is the first. Our relationship with ourself, and I mean capital S, sacred self. That's the first and the most important relationship. And when we get that, then the rest of it just falls into place. Let's have a good time. Let's support each other, love each other, be here for each other. The cat's in the cradle. Thank you. Namaste. And this is a time when in our service we'll receive our tithes and love offerings. So I invite the ushers to come forward. The love offering blessing that we use is divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. So as you hold your blessing in your hand, your gift in your hand, let's say that together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful, 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 I'm so grateful.
We are so grateful. So we're going to bless this offering now. You can stay right there, Jerry. Oh, divine love, we are. We are. Divine love, we are. And we bless this gift. We bless these gifts. We bless the world. And we multiply it, magnify it, allow it to return to us. Thank you, Infinite Spirit. All right. So now, is this the time when we do our transformational opportunities? Oh, there go those words. The words on the PowerPoint are a little bit late. So, we didn't talk about this.
What do we have over here?
Well, Colleen Foster is starting a new women's group on November the 3rd from 10:30 to noon here in Unity of Dayton, live and in person. And it's not going to be a book study. It's going to be more like she said, a coffee clutch, a conversational time together with each other. And so if you want to be a part of that, just show up here on the 3rd at 10:30.
That sounds like fun.
It does.
Speaking of fun, it looks like we're going to have another drumming circle. And that'll be November 10th. And I think they're planning indoors, maybe.
I don't know. Find out when you get here. Bring your drums, your rattles, your shakers.
It starts at 6.
It starts at 6 p.m. So it'll probably be dark by 6 p.m. then. Yeah, so it'll probably be inside. Okay. Then we are the Board of Trustees and other people in this community have decided to put together a gift to you, the congregation, and to you out there if you're close by in the internet land, a mystical afternoon at Unity. It's going to be November the 20th from 1 to 4 p.m. to thank you for hanging in there with us during this time that we've been closed and for all of your support. We're going to have a time of experiencing and learning about opening to your intuition, Reiki energy work, EFT tapping. Some of you know about that. Ancient runes, not ruins, runes. I wasn't sure. And then there's going to be a guided imagery meditation, and then there's going to be we'll close it with a sound bath with crystal bowls, courtesy of Eden Foster. She's amazing. So we invite you to put that on your calendar and be here on that 20th of November.
And this year we are going to be a drop-off for Toys for Tots. So we're going to start receiving those gifts on November 7th, Sunday, November 7th. We already have the box, actually, the great big boxes, but we'll put them out here, and those gifts should be unwrapped, and they should be for boys and girls age 12 and under.
Yep. And then there'll be a drop-off day that we'll have too, a drive-by day, but that'll be further into December, I think. So that's all the hot news that's happening right here, right now. Okay? You got it all, put it on your calendar? Okay. I think now we're going to stand and we're going to sing. Oh, I want to thank the people that are out there in the internet land for being with us today. Remember this, and all y'all, remember this. You are the light of the world.